updates so you can kind of put it all together for us, Ryan.
Yeah, hey there, Joe. Per the National Hurricane Center, they gave an update just about, let's say, 5 minutes ago or so, and Bill Vesey talked about it previously, and also Alan. Now, as of right now, it's expected to make landfall just after 5 o'clock, give or take a few minutes or so, in Kennedy County. Now, sustained wind speeds have upped. They've upgraded to 90 miles per hour. That's in the inner core, the eye wall of Hurricane Hanna. Now, primary threats continue: storm surge, flash flooding, and tropical storm force winds, just as Alan mentioned, between 39 and 73 miles per hour. In West County, Sam Pat, as far west as Jim Wells, southern tips of Duval County, all going to see tropical storm force winds through tonight as Hurricane Hanna makes landfall around the 5 o'clock hour. You can see just how close it is offshore. And you'll notice just right here the amount of thunderstorms that are still flaring up on the south and eastern side of Hurricane Hanna's circulation. And that's where they've seen, in the open waters of the Gulf, and we'll show that in just a minute, upwards of about 8 to 9 inches of rain over the open water. Not here in the city. We'll take a look at that in just a moment again, but right now winds sustained again at 90 miles per hour. Higher wind gusts up to 115, so it's gusting up into Category 3 strength, but still a Cat 1 at this hour. You can see how it's meandering just off the Texas Gulf Coast, more so into deep South Texas. Now here is the most up-to-date forecast cone set out by the Hurricane Center. It downgrades to a tropical storm by, let's say, tomorrow afternoon or so, and then starts to weaken substantially as it moves southwest into the mountains of Mexico, where in fact it'll be sheared apart. Remember, tropical systems do not like the lack of water. It needs the Gulf of Mexico to survive, at least in terms of providing more rainfall in those tropical bands wrapping around that area of low pressure. Now here are expected wind speeds and wind gusts for Corpus Christi. You'll notice sustained winds upwards of 40 miles per hour through 6 o'clock. And that fluctuates just a tad. We're still looking at tropical storm force winds above 39 at least, not to mention the wind gusts upwards of 55 to 60 around the area, and that's here in Nueces County. The farther south you go towards the eye wall, and that is where you're going to run and encounter more into hurricane force winds upwards of 74 plus down closer to Kennedy County. And here's a look at current look at radar. You can see, most of the county area in Claiborne County and the West is all under the influence of the tropical bands of Hurricane Hanna. And you'll notice Nueces County just giving covered and soaking rain at this hour. And that does extend as far west as Rivera, Falfurrias, into Benavides, Jim Wells County, also into Duval County as well. And we look closer to the center of circulation. Now, I do want to mention this and emphasize, now, just because the eye reaches land, that does not mean it's going to make landfall at that particular location. It's the center of the storm, center of the hurricane, right here. That particular area has to make it over land. It has to make it over land to be considered a full landfall. So right now, it's just about there, just along the barrier islands. And that'll be pretty much the first landfall. The second, depending on what the National Hurricane Center wants to go with, will be the official landfall. So again, it's just right off the shore, expected to be a Kennedy County landfall by 5 o'clock or so, give or take 30 minutes or so. Now, the National Hurricane Center in the last few hours was indicating a 7 p.m. landfall, but right now we're expecting a 5:30 landfall, again in central Kennedy County. All right, a closer look and zooming into more rainfall. The rain just does not stop. You can see over in Encinal and also into, let's say, Robstown, Cal Allen, Orange Grove, Mathis, all seeing some good beneficial rain out there, all cashing in on some good rain at this hour. And the thing is, the problem with these tropical bands, they don't stop. So, yeah, this doesn't look like impressive rainfall, and it's not. It's the fact that it's going to continue to train. It's going to continue to swing in onshore. You still look how much rainfall is ahead if you're in Corpus Christi, if you're in Orange Grove, Mathis, Sinton. Yeah, it's moderate rain right now, but look at how much rain is heading in your direction into the, let's say, Aransas County area, Refugio, also in the Rockport. So again, this is still tremendous rainfall moving in, and the outer bands of Hurricane Hanna still extending as far north as George West Beeville. It's also extending upwards of, let's say, Houston, also into San Antonio. But right here in our neck of the woods, we're just going to stay under the influence of flood-provoking rainfall. and also storm surge. In fact, Bob Hall Pier, pretty much a lot of the areas have seen water move inland, and that's a hot spot for storm surge in the last couple hours. And not to mention other areas along the Texas coast. If you have more pictures, videos, send them my way or to the KIII Facebook. We'll keep an eye on that. But again, storm surge is the big problem. Now, I did mention this earlier. You can see the amount of rainfall associated with the tropical bands of Hurricane Hanna. Now, this is not everywhere, and more importantly, this is offshore, so nowhere near land and nowhere near any neighborhoods. But you'll notice how much rainfall is dropping. I mean, 7.2 in some spots, 8.7, 8.2, 9.3 inches of rain. And that's just been since this morning. Imagine if that was inland, if that was over Corpus Christi. That'd be copious amounts of rainfall and flood provoking. And that'd be causing several areas of damage here in the city if this amount of rainfall was north into Corpus Christi. But I show this because I'm showing you what's capable from Hanna. It's not a widespread 8 to 9 inches, but as these tropical bands spin around the center of circulation, it's always possible that these tropical downpours could drop, deposit that kind of rain across the Corpus Christi area, Nueces County, San Pat, and out across the viewing area. So again, flood-provoking rainfall, storm surge is the main threat. You'll notice some tips. Have a way to get alerts. Have the 3 News app with you on your phone. Download it if you haven't already. Toggle on notifications. You'll be able to get any alerts from us, Alan, me, or Bill Vesey. We continue to update Facebook. So just, download the 3 News app. And, of course, peak storm intensity will be between about, let's say, 75 to 85, and that's south towards the center of circulation. Another look at Hurricane Hanna on infrared satellite. You can see the cooler cloud tops slowly moving onshore. And you'll notice the more heavier downpours of rain is offshore on the southern and eastern flank of Hurricane Hanna. Another update on the winds right now as of 4 p.m. per the National Hurricane Center, up to 90 miles per hour. Wind gusts up to 115, and this is currently moving west-southwest at about 8 miles per hour. So to wrap things up, just to summarize what's expected over the next several hours, we're expecting landfall around 5 p.m. Sustained winds have upgraded to 90 miles per hour, so this is a strong end Category 1 hurricane, and those wind gusts are upwards of 115, and that is closer to the center of circulation. So it's not here in Corpus Christi, but it is down south and into the more viewing, into Kennedy County, and again around that center of circulation. Flash flooding, storm surge, and tropical storm force winds between 39 and 73 miles per hour. And again, here is a last look at the forecast track of it. Still maintaining Category 1 status as it makes landfall around 5 o'clock today. Moving inland to the south and west into the mountains of Mexico. From there, degrading and moving into a unfavorable environment and becoming a remnant low by Monday and Tuesday of next week. All right, Marissa Cummings, our reporter here at TV3, has an update on where she's at and what she's seeing from Hurricane Hanna. Marissa, what's going on?
All right, Ryan, flooding is the name of the game here. I am on the 6th floor of the Radisson Hotel, and they've been taking great care of us here as I've been getting soaked, definitely by going out there. Let me just show you here. We can see the Lexington. I don't know if you guys can see me over here on the 6th floor, but the front of the Lexington, the gate that you would go through to get up there, is completely flooded. There is no way that safely your car could go through there. Luckily, the attractions down here are closed today, and reasonably so. So remember, we have our markers out here that I keep on referring to talk about how intense it is getting out here. Let's look at the sign out in the water there. It is a holiday beach rental sign with prices. Half of the sign is coming off. The waves keep on hitting it, and maybe the next time you guys come back to me, that sign may be completely down. Now, remember, those beach lawn chairs that were stacked up on the beach, we used to be able to see the sand. Well, that's not happening anymore, and those beach chairs used to be stacked up. Now they are completely down, and they have been fluctuating, and they could start potentially floating away. So again, if you come back and ask me, maybe that that next update will be that they have started drifting away. Again, that's no surprise when we look down at the intersection. Remember, I told you about that median. Well, the median wasn't completely covered in water in the street, and now it is. That is a significant amount of water. And just between the hotel and the little tourist spot there, we were on this island of grass that we were standing on, and we're completely safe. But now that island of grass is essentially not there either. I mean, the water is continually rising, and of course we can't ignore the fact that the waves are just becoming bigger and bigger swells and getting, closer to the hotel as well. So, again, you definitely don't want to be down here. Stay at home, stay safe. Conditions are worsening, and of course we expect that as the hurricane makes landfall as well. But this is far from over. When I was in the hotel, a family from Austin said, hey, we just came down here. We weren't paying attention to the news. We were planning to hang out on the beach. I think that vacation, we can say, is a no-go for them. This is their first hurricane, too. Being in Austin, they're not as familiar, but they definitely do get a close-up view here. Luckily, the hotel and everything on North Beach, because of the flooding, everything's risen up. So luckily, there is no damage to the hotel or anything. There's nothing coming in the lobby. They're staying extremely safe and taking extreme precautions by making sure the doors are locked, that nobody walks out here, because it's just dangerous. I'm just gawking at everything that's happening. Even though it's not raining hard, the wind is blowing that the rain feels hard. It feels like someone is just throwing little BB gun like pellets at me. It's not fun conditions out here, guys. Remember, no one should be out at this point, but if you're driving, in the case of an emergency, turn around, don't drown, because that is an emergency on top of emergency. And I just want to ensure and make sure everyone's safe, especially in this area from what I can see. So we'll come back, we'll look at these different markers to see how the storm progresses. Who knows if the sign will be there, the lawn chairs, but yeah, we'll keep you updated on the conditions here. The only thing that's out here are the seagulls on the water. I don't know if you can see them, but they're having a field day out here. So the only thing that's out here is things that are used to conditions like this happening further away from the coastline. But it is definitely up in our faces now, and this is something that we can't ignore. So don't take it lightly, guys. I'm going to keep you updated as much as I can and let you know how everything is going down here on North Beach. All right, back to you guys.
Okay, Marissa, thank you. That's a pelican out there, and it looks like good fishing for.
Get out of the water, Mr. Pelican. It's dangerous in there.
I know, but the fish are out there, I think. And thank you, Marissa, for that update. My goodness, it is shocking to see, stunning to see that water moving up as far as it has.
Even in the bay.
Yeah, in Corpus Christi Bay especially. We're now about, if we are to understand all the latest information from the National Weather Service, about less than 45 minutes from any kind of official landfall. You can see the eye as it moves ashore, and what we're waiting for is the center of that eye to cross the first land, and that makes it official. And then from that point, we can basically say without fear of contradiction that we're on the downside of this, because it will diminish. It has to. These storms cannot survive for very long on land. It can still cause some problems, but it's not going to increase.
Not at the strength it was. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Now, one place where we are seeing still significant high winds and rain and so forth is Clayburgh County. We've got our Ashley Gonzalez standing by to let us know what is happening there. Ashley?
Right, Joe. Ashley Gonzalez here in Kingsville, Texas, as I've been since the beginning of the forecast, and well, since the beginning of all the coverage. And well, right now you can kind of see for yourself that the wind is picking up and the rain is coming down. But something that I've learned since my photog and I have been here is that this is very unpredictable weather. Maybe like 30 minutes ago, it was drizzling very softly. The wind was still up, but it was drizzling very softly. But then in the matter of seconds, the rain started pouring down. The wind started blowing through once again. So, if you're thinking of heading out and driving because the weather has calmed down, I think we need to reiterate that the worst is yet to come. And again, we need to reiterate that in about an hour is when landfall is going to take place. So even if it looks like it's okay outside, you might want to think twice about it because, I mean, like I said, in a matter of seconds, it can switch up. And I don't know if we showed you what the flags are looking like, but the wind is blowing very hard right now. And also to my left, we can see the emergency services on standby, ready in case, if need be, that you need them. And also, I got Janine Reyes from the city of Kingsville said roughly, maybe over 1,300 people, AEP customers, do not have power right now. And they want to remind you, if you lose power, do not call 911, call the city or call the county. They should be able to help you from there. Again, roughly around 1,300 customers, AEP customers, do not have power right now. And, well, let me just step out of the frame again so you can see for yourself what's going on and how unpredictable this weather is. And, Joe, we'll keep you updated on the weather, what's going on over here. Back to you.
Thanks so much. You were talking about 1,800 people without power. I'm sure that is in Clayburgh County. Just referring to that county because we have several thousand without power throughout the AEP coverage area here in South Texas.
In the Corpus Christi area, 25,144 outages, 460 cases. So 25,144 within this, it looks like the city of Corpus Christi.
Okay, so they're actively working. As we said, the AEP crews were setting up long before Hanna arrived to try to address problems, to put themselves in the best position to address problems when they occur. And, when a storm like this comes in, that there are going to be some outages. So it's a question of being in the right place to address the problems as they develop. So we're waiting on them to restore things. You can go to their website. And how do you get there again?
Outage map, AEP Texas.
Okay.
So if you search for outage map AEP Texas, you'll be able to get Texas, and then you can zoom in on Corpus Christi, Kingsville, Rockport, the bigger cities in South Texas.
Okay. Alan, can we put up that loop again, that satellite loop that kind of shows where the storm is right now?
Yeah, we got that up. It's very close. This is just radar imagery. I have the satellite imagery stripped off of it because we obviously know there's clouds out there. But the radar is very, very close to landfall, which is going to be the center of the eye of this storm, which is right in here. I'm going to go and zoom in now and get really close so we can identify locations and just how far away it is. There's Port Mansfield on the south or center part of the screen. This, I believe, is Padre Island that it's going to make landfall on. I don't think it's South Padre Island. It's Padre Island. And if, I'm just going to take a guesstimate on where the center is just to my eye.
It's close.
Yeah, it's 5 miles or so.
Yeah, it's very close. And, it looks like it's going to be Port Mansfield where it makes landfall then, right?
I think
that'll be the closest city. It'll say north of Port Mansfield on Padre Island.
We were talking about landmarks when we were talking about Baffin Bay a couple of days ago. So the closest landmark to where this thing looks like it's going to make landfall will be Mansfield past Port Mansfield.
Yes, it looks like that. And I believe that's going to be the Barrier Island, Padre Island.
Correct.
Yes, that's what it'll be designated as.
Yeah, and so you're watching it there. That's an up-to-date image. Satellite loop, the latest information coming into us, and you can see just how close we are, and where the strongest winds have been concentrating themselves over the past few hours. We've been watching it and seeing that this area, the Corpus Christi area, not spared some of the damage of this storm surge, which has been really far and wide and very pronounced compared to what you think it should be for a hurricane of this category. You would think that it would have to be a much bigger storm to have the kind of storm surge damage that we've seen here.
This circle I drew is representing where the strongest winds are going to be. I guess I could draw a smaller one to exclude the eye, like the middle. Bear with me here. I'm doing my best on the drawing and the scope of things. But between those two circles, that's where the strongest winds are going to be as this starts to move in and then gradually shift to the south. That circle that I have there, if you were to fill in the gap between the two, that's where we're likely going to have those hurricane force winds, if there are going to be any to be had as this moves in, which are sustained right now at 90 miles per hour. So it's going to be that eye wall, that central part of the storm surrounding the vacant part, that's the eye. But the eye wall is going to be where the strongest winds, the heaviest rains are found within this storm as it moves in shortly here, probably within, by around 5 o'clock, the guesstimation on the time.
And that is still Kennedy County there, right?
That's Kennedy County. I don't know the county south of Kennedy County.
It's Willacy, south of Kennedy.
Okay, Willacy. It's going to, but it's going to be a Kennedy County landfall.
Okay. Kennedy County, once again, one of the least populated counties in the state of Texas.
I do want to mention, though, I mean, I don't know if people are watching us or capable of watching us from outside of where our airwaves go, our viewing area, but Raymondville is going to be in line for some very strong winds. Raymondville, way down in the valley.
They can't see us off the air, but they can see us on,
Okay, for streaming.
Online.
Yeah. So if you're watching from Raymondville and those locations down south in the valley, there are going to be some strong, probably hurricane force winds. If that eye wall goes right over that location, I would suspect that hurricane force wind should be.
Yeah, and that's what the governor was talking about earlier during his news conference, that is the area that's going to see not only the force of, the force of all of that wind, but also the torrential rains, the flooding, and couple that with the COVID outbreak and the pandemic that they are going through, it is just a bad time. The Rio Grande Valley of Texas is going to face the worst part of this, it looks like.
And you can see the rain, that yellow shade in the valley isn't even on my chart at the top there to tell you how much inches are going to be falling. That's a 10-inch range. Right into this area right here. There's 10 inches of rain forecast to fall in the valley there, and then you step down. This is the 7-inch mark. Here's 5 inches, and then we get into the 4-inch range in Corpus Christi. So that's why I kind of included us in that 2 to 5 inch range. And once you get north of the coastal bend, the forecast totals at least go way down because we're just getting removed from the center of where this thing's going to just kind of drift over South Texas.
Still a lot more rain out there.
Yeah, there you have it.
And one more thing, flash flood watches are still in effect. They're going to be in effect until Sunday night, till Sunday evening, because this is still going to be able to draw in moisture as it just slowly but at least steadily continues inland as we progress into the rest of the weekend. So this is how it all moves in. You see, even though the center of the storm is right over the Rio Grande tomorrow morning, by this point it's going to be weakening, downgraded to a tropical storm, maybe even lower than that. So the wind threat is going to go down substantially overnight and into tomorrow. But the pull that this will still have on moisture from the Gulf, you see, this even still looks like a band of rain over Corpus Christi, just the way the simulated radar is showing it.
Will the National Weather Service issue something in real time saying that there has been a landfall? Or
Yes.
not? Will
The National Hurricane Center will send that information out. And we'll grab that as quick as we can and share it with everybody. But there will be a statement that goes out.
Will there be a lapse? Because it just seems almost subjective when you look at that eye and the space that there is there. The absolute center of it is kind of subjective, and so whenever somebody says that's it, that's it.
Yeah, I mean we trust them this far, so we'll trust them with where they say that landfall is.
Yeah. And really the distinction is in name only because
it's for historic purposes.
Yeah,
this storm made landfall here.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that all of a sudden things are going to change. It actually means the opposite. That landfall, in this case at least, with this storm moving in as it starts to get farther inland, it's going to gradually weaken and the wind threat will go down. The storm surge threat will also start to go down because the winds are going to weaken, so you're not getting that pull of water into the coast. So we're just going to see a gradual reduction rather than an increase, even though we're focusing on the landfall.
And the other thing you're going to see when the water starts receding, talking about, damage increasing, that's when you're going to notice more of the damage that took place, because right now water may be covering.
Yep.
Probably
exactly
is.
right. That's exactly
right. It may
right.
be covering a lot of what we can't see at this point.
Yes.
Let's go now to Padre Island Live, where I believe Leslie is up and ready to go, and she is live facing the Gulf of Mexico. And Leslie, what is the situation there now?
Hey there, Joe. So the last couple of times that we checked in with you, remember I was talking about how it was mostly wind that was the issue, but the rain had subsided because otherwise it was kind of comfortable. You saw a lot of folks that were out there trying to, get photos and videos. Now, that is not the case. Rain coming down significantly harder. The wind is still there, and that's why I'm inside. We're going to take you outside here in just a second, but our camera was down, suffered water.
And it's down. That's the problem. Obviously when you're dealing in with live TV and cameras that are susceptible very much so to the elements, anything can happen, and clearly it has there. We'll try to correct it and get back to it as soon as we can.
I think here's a hat tip to all our reporters out there.
Oh, it's
and
yeah.
I think everybody, y'all out there, understand the technical issues that we have during a hurricane,
During
for
a
Pete's
hurricane
sake, right?
and a pandemic.
So hats
same
off,
time.
and good job, everybody out there. We appreciate all you're doing.
Yeah, and a lot of folks also, I just want to say thank you to the folks who've been sending in pictures and video and just kind of helping us tell the story here without making us actually go to the scene and put folks in danger, at risk, and so forth, just by sending pictures of what's going on.
Yeah.
That certainly helps everybody.
You bet. You bet.
And this this will continue for a while, but as soon as the landfall officially happens, then, as we said, this will diminish slowly, and you'll see the rain. Well, I think we have Leslie back. No, we don't.
It's like the climax of a movie.
You got it. You got it.
Yeah.
You done got it. Yeah. Well,
Landfall is like the climax of the movie, and it's building and it's building and it's building, and you have the climax of the movie, and then everything starts calming down after that.
Yeah, and that's what's going to happen here. And I hear something. I hear ocean in the background.
There she is.
There she is.
Can you guys see me?
I can. Let's go. Let's.
Okay, sorry. You guys were chatting, and so I wanted to make sure. So yes, we were inside. Let's take you outside. This is why our camera suffered some water damage. We're only going to be outside for a second. So yeah, the rain coming down a lot harder than the last two times that we were live. You can see the waves.
You knew it was going to happen, right? You knew that was going to happen. It's a question of when.
It's as she said, the rain's picking up, and that has an effect on everything going on out there. So
It does. We'll try to get that fixed. Maybe get another camera over there.
yeah.
Something like that. Thank you for trying, though. That was good. We're going to be talking with the Nueces County Sheriff here in just a moment, Sheriff J.C. Hooper, to find out how his crews are doing. And speaking of having to deal with two
Major events.
Major events. I'm trying to. Calamity wouldn't be the right word.
Well, it's getting close.
Yeah, but two major events: the COVID threat and hurricane response. This is a department that's certainly faced with that challenge right now. The Nueces County Sheriff's Department. But tell you what, we're going to talk to the sheriff here in just a moment if we can. But we're tracking, Hannah. We're going to be doing this for as long as necessary. We're going to go right through the newscast
Right.
we normally have at 6 o'clock. This is Saturday, right? So we're going to be on at 6 o'clock. But watching as this storm gets very, very close to making landfall well to the south of Corpus Christi, as we said, around Port Mansfield, Mansfield Pass, right to where, frankly, it's one of the least populated areas of Texas. It's where you'd want a storm to go if you could pick your choice of where you wanted the storm to go, you should probably go right there, and that's where you'd want it to.
I've seen some pictures from Port Mansfield. We can't show them, but
Yeah.
it's pretty
bad.
pretty significant down there right now. The winds and the rain.
Yeah, I'll bet. I believe our Ryan Choptaw is standing by with an update on Hanna for us.
Yeah, as of 4:30, these wind speeds are upwards of about 90 miles per hour sustained around the eye wall of Hurricane Hanna just to our south and east in the western Gulf of Mexico. Now, again, landfall is expected around 5 p.m. in the next half hour or so just north of Port Mansfield. And again, sustained wind speeds at 90, wind gusts up to about 115, and Kennedy County is going to be the focal point for hurricane force winds through tonight. Now, primary threats for us: storm surge, flash flooding, and tropical storm force winds between 39 and 73 miles per hour. Again, that's Corpus Christi in and around our viewing area. The farther south you go into the center of the storm, or the center of the hurricane, is where you run into those 90 mile per hour winds, 115 mile per hour wind gusts. At the moment, the direction and motion of Hanna, it's moving west-southwest currently at 8 miles per hour. But you'll notice this satellite signature, just really impressive, stretching as far north as Houston, northeast into Houston. And you'll notice the breeding ground of these strong thunderstorms on the southern and eastern side of Hurricane Hanna. On the northern side, we're still seeing tropical bands of rain move in, and we'll take a look at radar in just a moment. But first, the forecast cone for Hanna, making landfall again in the next half hour, downgrading into a tropical storm by sometime tomorrow morning or so, give or take a few hours, around 1 o'clock in the morning. And then by Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, this time tomorrow, it's going to be moving into Mexico between about a tropical depression and a remnant low. So we'll continue to watch it and monitor Hanna as it gradually weakens, as it makes landfall in the next half hour. And you'll notice the current radar loop. This is currently at this hour, Kingsville seeing some good rain off of Texas 141, Alice off the 281 corridor, all seeing some good tropical downpours at this hour. And, the main events right here, the eye of Hurricane Hanna. And remember, the center of the hurricane has to make landfall, not the western side of the eye. The center of the eye has to move inland to be considered a official landfall. And the National Hurricane Center and National Weather Service will give us update on whatever that happens in the next half hour or so. A closer look at Corpus Christi, Port Aransas, Rockports, all under the influence of the outer bands of Hanna, and all seeing these tropical downpours moving from east to west into Rockport, Sinton, Mathis, George West, Beeville. It's almost a certainty at this point that everyone in our coastal bend areas, in our coastal bend communities, is seeing rainfall at this point. Now, the farther west you go, not as much, but again, that may add up in the coming hours. Now, I want to take a look at this very quickly. Last 12 hours, you'll notice on the southern side of the eye wall of Hanna, and look at this, the focal point of torrential rainfall. Now, of course, this is offshore. No one has to worry about it, but look at these rainfall totals. Radar estimated 8.7, 9.3, 8.2. This is that swath of rain on that south and southeastern quadrant of Hanna. Now, in and around Nueces County, 1.8 over in SPID, outside our KIII studios, give or take. 0.3 over in Sinton, half an inch in Rockports, and 1 to 2 inches in Flower Bluff. And I'm going to wrap this up with the LexCam shot. Look at this. Palace Beachwear and Gear on North Beach. Take a look at this, guys. Look at that storm surge moving onshore, and I'll send it back over to you guys.
Yeah, just it floods a lot on North Beach whenever we have a lot of rain, but that is flooding like you don't see very often. Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about, because we know that there are some other disturbances and waves that we're watching moving off the coast of Africa and heading, as they do this time of year, in this general direction. It used to be that it would be unlikely to have another storm follow in exactly the same path of a hurricane ahead of it.
Correct.
And there are reasons for that. One of them is that it kind of robs the water in that pathway of the heat that it needs
Exactly.
to grow. And the other thing is that steering currents that control the path of hurricanes are constantly changing. And so it would be unreasonable to think that the same factors would be in play for one and the one that follows it.
Correct.
But what about what's coming off Africa now? I mean, is there any way to look at the chances of whether it would follow in this same general path and hit Texas?
Well, if that comes up, this is going to be a big storm, that one coming off Africa. I don't know where it's going, a long way away.
Yeah.
It's going to get across the Atlantic. The models I've seen bring it into the Caribbean. But that would be 2 weeks, almost 10 days or 2 weeks after Gonzalo.
Right.
And everything in that 10-day, 2-week period would be back to normal. And so the potential would be there for
Just in
another
the same
development.
general direction.
A same general direction. Very rarely, as you mentioned, do they follow the exact same path.
Yep.
But 10 days to 2 weeks in tropical time is a long time. Things get back to normal.
Okay.
And
And
so,
and I guess one reason you say that is because you don't want people thinking, okay, we've had our storm this year, and
yeah,
let down their
it's
guard.
not even August yet.
Yeah.
It's not even August,
Even
and we're
August.
seeing waves come off Africa.
Yeah.
Alan, right? We don't see waves come off Africa.
I'm trying
in
to
July.
I'm trying to get the satellite
You don't
imagery changed because we're obviously focused on this one right now. So I'm having to go
Yeah.
over here and get this up here. But I do have the tropical satellite imagery, and we're going to show you. That's what's left of Gonzalo over in the Caribbean, and then
So
that wave
that's
you're
gone.
talking
It's not
about.
coming back.
Gonzalo is gone.
Well, for now, I mean.
Well, what did we say?
Yeah.
Was it Harvey that we thought puffed out and then regenerated?
Our Harvey?
Hey,
Yeah.
it's 2020. We got to remember these things.
You got to keep reminding us of that. Thanks.
And I did want to just say one more thing to touch on what Bill was just talking about, how it's only July. Look at the hurricane season, the hurricane frequency. We are sitting right in here in terms of when the historically most active portion of the season is. So we've still got the
Look at
lion's
that.
share of activity to come.
Man, that just drives it home, doesn't it? Look at that.
Yep, that's where we are right now. Peak season is September the 10th. I'm going to get back, though, to the radar because we're really close to landfall potentially of this storm.
Yes.
I think,
It's going to be close, and it's going to be designated by the National Hurricane Center, so it's awfully close.
The word
to
is
landfall.
imminent.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
even though we might think it's there, it doesn't actually get there until the Hurricane Center says it is.
I'm not going to say and be the nation's
No.
sayer of all says on whether or not it's making landfall officially, but
You would never do that.
I would try maybe, but no one would believe me.
Yeah, my point is there's an official source, and it's got to
Yes.
come from there. And even if it is looking like that is the case,
Yeah.
we've got to wait before we can actually say that.
And another thing too, the same source that we're waiting to call it on landfall is the same source that is producing the forecast cones. So the National Hurricane Center, whenever you see a cone, that's where they're coming from. And these guys are the best in the world with respect to tropical forecasting and tropical evolution. And, they do a great job every single year. And we try to explain how the impacts are going to affect us locally, and we use their help, and they're really good at what they do. So
Yeah.
we're going to wait on their word to say when that storm officially makes landfall. I've got the Twitter up, though, right now. I've got it, and I'm just refreshing.
But we don't have to wait until their next official update.
No, they'll come out and say
okay.
right away, Hanna made landfall on Padre Island at X time, producing X amount of winds, and that'll be just what goes down in the books. And then
Yeah.
we'll take it from there
Yep.
as far as what's to come after that.
All right. But we're looking at about 20 minutes, according to what they said it was going to be.
Well, I mean, we can look at we can just kind of,
Come on, landfall.
we can see that it's right there.
Yeah.
It's just going to, we're just basically waiting on them to say
Okay.
that it has officially made landfall, and then we'll go.
And it looks like
It's close.
Port Mansfield there.
Yeah, we'll zoom in closer so
Mansfield
that
Pass.
city pops up on the graphic system. There's Port Mansfield, and it's close. It's close.
Yeah, okay.
And just, we're hyping the landfall right now in terms of that's what we're focused on. But also, without question, the winds around that are going to be strong. Those inner bands, the inner core, the eye wall winds that are about to get to Highway 77. Like if someone is thinking about driving 77 right now to get to the valley, that is a no-no. You do that. That's not good. Don't be driving, especially on 77 south of Kingsville, trying to get anywhere there or north for that matter, if people are watching, those winds in here are going to be on the order of, hurricane force. So we're talking 75 plus miles per hour right there within that eye wall. So if you're traveling up and down 77, you don't want to be doing that at all. If you got a family member that's on the road, text them, tell them to turn around, because it's just, it's just not worth it to be driving through stuff like that.
They're about to get walloped. Look at that.
Yeah, and then you've got the rain, whatever inland flooding is happening with these big rains. These rain bands aren't really moving a whole lot. So, areas are getting rain over and over and over. 77's been getting rain now for a few hours.
Yeah.
It's constant. So,
Alan, can you go up north and see what's it look like up here?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Got to go back to Corpus Christi. We do have, moderate rain bands pushing in. Leslie, you could hear her talking about how the rain was getting a lot worse, and then it was not, and then it's bad again. And that's the way it goes. They come in waves.
Still, you can see where Padre Island is. Can you put an arrow like our part of Padre Island?
Yeah, let me get an arrow on that right in here.
Yeah, so you can see that they're still getting some of those strong bands of rain.
I'll just put it into motion. You'll see a little pocket of clear air right there. That's where Leslie was saying, man, what's going on? Am I in the eye? When it wasn't raining. And now the rain is back in. But we knew that she wasn't in the eye because we could see that the wind was still blowing around there. If she was in the center of the eye, she probably would have also said, I don't know why my ears just popped. Sometimes that happens because the pressure lowers and your ears pop in the middle of the eye. I don't know if that's going to happen with this one, but,
But beyond that, a lot of times you can look up and see blue skies, the wind is calm, and it's like nothing is happening.
That rain band at the north of the storm is the one we saw about an hour ago. It's pretty far offshore. We were saying that big rain is coming our way. And there it is. Again, it just reinforces the fact that we still have a lot of rain to deal with. Hopefully the wind, once we have a landfall, the wind will start calming down a little bit. But we still have a lot of rain. Look how far out into the Gulf the rain extends. And that's only as far as the radars
Exactly.
go.
I was just going to say that. We can only see like 150 miles really on the radar for accurate data. So there very well may be rain out there. I'm going to actually switch radar products because this one is a little more expansive. But you can see those rains over in Louisiana, those are a byproduct of the grandiose flow around what is Hanna. So you're getting actually influence of this storm all the way up here as the winds drive in to the middle of this storm like so. So that storm is actually creating those rains that are in
Well, look at the
Louisiana.
rain at the top bank of your arrows up near Waco is part of a rain
That's
band.
an outer band. That's probably the extreme outer band of Hanna, way up near Waco.
And they're also getting rain in Houston, aren't they?
Houston's getting rain. We can do the Texas tour here really quick. Galveston and Houston,
look at
heavy rains passing through. Thankfully, though, these are quick moving, but they are training, which means they're tracking over the same spot over and over and over. So they're probably dealing with some flooding concerns there. Those are the flash flood warnings there. Coastal flood warning in effect for those locations. And then that flash flood watch, I believe, over there by Sabine Pass. And then up near Waco, Dallas. That's that outer band Bill was just talking about.
All right. What we want to do now is go to Leslie on the phone. We think that's going to hold up just fine. She has some data to go over regarding power outages. Leslie?
Hey, guys. Yeah. Hopefully you guys can hear me, as I'm sure you have been able to tell by now. Several issues with cameras. We are... obviously technical difficulties is the situation out here. What I was trying to say earlier was that my two live shots that we had when we had checked in earlier, the rain had stopped, but that is not the case now. Rain is coming down in addition with that wind. It's coming down a lot harder. Power outages. Nearly 33,000 people said to be without power right now. So if this is you, I hope you guys have a plan in place, but a reminder to, just stay calm and we're all weathering this storm together. But just want to make sure, even though you guys cannot see me, I do want to reiterate, I am fine. We are safe. We are hunkered down still in the same location, not too far from Packery Channel here at this condominium. But yes, the rain certainly coming down a lot harder. I think I don't know. It might even be a little harder than the earlier live shots. But yeah, that rain that's coming at you and like kind of pricks you in the cheeks and then your face and everything. It's just with the rain and oh my goodness, it is quite a situation. So you guys can imagine why we were having so many technical difficulties.
All right, Leslie, thanks very much for the update on power outages and the conditions out there on Padre Island. And it's been an interesting ride for those folks, for sure. And the folks at AEP assure us that they are out and about trying to resolve those problems. And it's just they knew they were going to develop, and it's just a question now of getting everywhere they need to be and restoring power as quickly as they can.
Thanks to the out-of-town AEP workers who
Coming in
left
to do
their
that.
hometowns to
Yeah.
come down here and
Yeah.
help us out.
Right, that always does happen. And you can go to their website and find out an approximation of when your power will be restored. They have that service up and running now. We are very close, as we said, to landfall of this storm. We are still awaiting word from the National Hurricane Center.
Both Alan and I keep on looking at our computers and everything, just
Yeah,
waiting
yeah.
for the official, because it is that close.
And again, when that happens, then we're going to see, then we are going to be able to tell that this storm will diminish. It's not going to get any stronger. The remaining bands are still going to cause some, rain problems and wind problems and so forth. But the other issues, the storm surge and whatnot, that's going to start diminishing because the storm will be over land and can't push any more water forward.
Right. Still
We've
looking
already
at
seen
a lot of rain, and also we can't discount the possibility of tornadoes. The tornadoes will be occurring. This is the point where we start looking at them, because once the lower levels of the storm reach land, the lower levels start slowing down, but at the upper levels, the movement is still quick. Alan was talking earlier about wind shear. Wind shear is different wind speeds at different levels.
Yeah.
Say 10 miles an hour here and 20 miles an hour up here. Get this moving faster, you start getting spinning action, and you have yourself a tornado. So we can't discount those over the next 24 to 36 hours.
There you go. But we're watching it all for you right here. TV3's continuing coverage of Hurricane Hanna, and the idea was to just keep you informed about what is happening so that you don't have to go out and look for yourself, as some people have done. But really, the first responders have told us universally that they really want people to stay at home. First and foremost, to allow them the chance to get out if they need to and take care of what needs to be done, but also because of the pandemic and the fact that you don't want to put yourself or others in danger as a result of this, okay?
So we're getting a lot of rain too. A lot of us over 1 inch now today only. I say only because we're not done with the day yet. We're still going to accumulate on top of this. But Port Aransas, Flower Bluff, Corpus Christi out at the airport, we've all gotten over 1 inch of rain. And this is going to slowly increase throughout the night and add on to this tomorrow, which is why we've been calling for those 2 to 5 inch range on rain totals here in the coastal bend. I just wanted to do a check-in on the wind, because I know that's what a lot of people have been worried about and asking about. And the winds, at this point, I wouldn't say that we're going to see really much higher than what we've already had today. We're not going to have a whole lot of wind to look forward to beyond landfall in terms of it getting stronger. The gusts are still at tropical storm strength. That 72 you see in the bottom right of the screen, that's from a buoy down in the Gulf of Mexico. And we're just basically now waiting for the landfall, the designation of landfall on Hurricane Hanna, which looks like it's going to be any minute now, right over that Padre Island area just to the east of Kennedy County.
Well, we do have Nueces County Sheriff J.C. Hooper on the phone line with us right now. Sheriff, thank you for taking time away from what I know must be a busy period for you. We understand that part of your jail facility, I understand the McKenzie Jail Annex, is without power after having been struck by lightning. Is that right?
Well, hey Joe, we've first of all, thanks for having me. We have had power out there. It got hit by lightning. The transformer behind the main building got hit by lightning at about 6:30 yesterday evening, and it's a massive transformer. And AEP was just incredible with their response to that. But we do have emergency power. The second it went out, the emergency generators kicked on, and the facility is well powered, just not totally powered. And
what about the main jail?
The main jail, we're in good shape at the main jail.
Okay.
No interruption to power, and the women and the men, the correctional officers that work there, we staged an additional crew at both facilities, and so they actually slept there overnight, and so we could have a seamless shift rotation at 7 a.m. and at 7 p.m. this evening. So they've been incredible.
Sheriff, how does that look when you're dealing with this pandemic at the same time? Because you've had a real challenge there at both of your facilities.
Well, you know what? And nothing changes as far as the safety and security. I mean, it's seamless in the way that they execute and all of the steps that have been in place to minimize the effect of the virus inside that jail. And so we haven't really had complications from the virus when it comes to dealing with this storm threat. And so we're in good shape.
What is the status now in terms of your population that is positive for COVID?
Well, it's the inmates that tested positive out there at the annex, they have all recovered. And
Okay.
so it comes in waves, in like 14-day waves. And so at this moment in time, we don't have anybody that is symptomatic. And we only have one person in the hospital, and he wasn't taken there for COVID-related. But once he got there, we found out he was COVID-related, but he's being treated at a hospital, and he's recovering. But
That's great news. And you haven't lost anyone, right?
No, we have not.
That's
Correctional.
terrific.
We do have some correctional officers, and it kind of comes in waves because we have significant number of employees returning to work after they have recovered from the virus, and then occasionally we have others that are testing positive, and so they'll be rotating out. So it's kind of a cycle. It's a cycle of sickness, recovery, and then we move on. But the storm really has not impacted the way we're handling that. You know, it's a double play, man. We got two things going on right now, but
That's for sure.
we're dealing with it, man. We're dealing with it.
And it sounds like you are and doing it well. What about any kind of physical problems in the county? Any kind of water flooding? Or
You know what? And we saw it coming. I think we all saw it coming. And what everybody was predicting was high water problems. So early this morning, we staged up. We have 3 boats. 2 of them are quick response Zodiac type boats, and they're trailered. They're staged right now behind pickup trucks, and because we were expecting a worst case scenario flooding in the rural areas of the county. Early this morning, I checked in with Mayor of Agua Dulce, and I checked in with City Marshal out there, and we were looking at 27 different sites around the rural area of the county where traditionally when they get inundated with rain, that there's flooding issues and road closures. And so we have the 2 quick response boats still staged up because if in fact we do get additional rain through the night or tomorrow, we might have to respond with them. And then we have the large boat that we keep out on a sling at marker 37.
Right.
We've got that trailered up now too, where we can take that wherever we need it.
But you haven't had to, right?
No, we have not, and
Good.
we're blessed. We have not, and
well, that's
we
all.
might even be headed to Kingsville. My sheriff friend down in Clayburgh County, Sheriff Kirkpatrick, is calling me as we speak. I got another call coming in, so
Okay.
we're going to do whatever we can do for the sheriff of Clayburgh and on south where they're getting a little worse than we are.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I'll let you go and deal with that. And Sheriff Hooper, thank you once again for joining us.
Hey.
Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, John. Thanks for what y'all are doing.
You bet. Our pleasure. Thank
Okay.
you. Sheriff J.C. Hooper, Nueces County, and he's reporting some good news there, that his people are getting healthier and that they haven't had to really mobilized to deal with any kind of problems caused by the weather. That is good. I understand we have some video just in from the Copano Bay area around Rockport, if we can take a look. And you can see here, just hard to tell, obviously wet, rainy, and those bands of rain coming in there, and they're dealing with a bit of a surge, but nothing like they're really on the fringe of the problem area, I would think. And you'll remember back in August of 2017, that was not the case when Hurricane Harvey came through. Rockport was pretty much ground zero, so I'm sure they were happy to have escaped this one.
You can even see, we'll go to Ryan here in a second. You can even see the intent of the wave action up there in Rockport compared to Corpus Christi Bay, compared to what's going on down south. Still a lot of wave action and surging happening up there, but not as significant as down here and farther down south.
All right, it is the top of the hour now. We do want to get you caught up on Hurricane Hanna, where the storm is and where it's going to be. And let's go now to Ryan Choptaw with the update.
Yeah, bottom line, Hanna going to be making landfall soon. I mean, this is the 5 o'clock hour, and it's just about a couple miles east and offshore of Kennedy County and those barrier islands just east of the area. Now, again, primary threats for Corpus Christi in Nueces County, storm surge. In fact, we've seen several feet of that inside Corpus Christi, Flower Bluff, the island, up north into North Beach. So that is the primary concern, being on the northern side of Hurricane Hanna. Flash flooding as well. Keep in mind, rain is going to stay high all day, or at least all night tonight, all day tomorrow, and those winds are going to stay gusty between 39 and 73. Now, at the moment, Hurricane Hanna has upped its wind intensity. Compared to the last couple hours, sustained winds are at about 90 miles per hour at the moment. Wind gusts are about 115. And again, landfall expected anytime now, just north of Port Mansfield. You can see it right there, just along the coast, moving west-southwest at about 8. Pressure has fallen at 973 millibars. And those gusts are really impressive. They're gusting upwards of a Category 3 strength, but right now it's still a Cat 1. As it slowly makes landfall anytime now. Now, here's the timeline. Forecast cone for Hanna put to that tropical storm status by tomorrow morning. And by that time, around 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, it'll be out west over Falfurrias, let's say southern portions, or not Falfurrias, but south of that into the Rio Grande Valley, closer to, Stark County, that northwestern side of it. And it's going to start to drive its way southwest as a tropical depression by Sunday afternoon, and then a remnant low by Sunday night. So again, this is something to watch, but right now, still a good amount of rainfall, especially on the northern side of the eye, the center of circulation. You can see that right here. And here it is. And remember, we're watching for the center of circulation, and it's right here, maybe a mile or two just offshore the barrier islands off of Padre Island. And it's moving quickly. At about 8 miles per hour. So again, any moment now is when we're expecting landfall. In the meantime, we're on the northern side of the storm. So, storm surge is a big factor. As you combine the wind speeds of, 50, 60 miles per hour at the surface, and you combine that with the forward motion of Hurricane Hanna, that leads to tremendous storm surge. In fact, near Bob Hall Pier, Flower Bluff, Corpus Christi Bay, North Beach, they've seen tremendous amounts of storm surge in the last several hours. A loop over the last few hours, you can see Rockport and Refugio, the outer bands of Hurricane Hanna. And at the moment, just providing good soaking rain this afternoon, early this evening. So again, rain chance to stay high in our forecast. And you'll notice on this particular graphic, this is estimated rainfall over the last 12 hours. And I want to mention this because it shows what Hurricane Hanna is capable of. And on the southern and southeastern flank of Hurricane Hanna, this is producing, this particular band of tropical rain producing upwards of 8, 9, 10 inches of rainfall. And I mention that because as long as Hanna stays around and it makes landfall anytime now, these bands could work our way and they could drop heavy amounts of rain in a short amount of time. I'm going to wrap up this with LexCam shot over at North Beach, Palace Beachwear and Gear. Lots of storm surge and a lot of water, moisture streaming onshore. Not to mention the threats of heavy rainfall through tonight and early tomorrow morning. Joe?
Okay, Ryan, that's the update on Hurricane Hanna. But let's, if we can, just go back to that shot one more time. Hang on just a second. Do we have an update here?
We got the landfall from the National Hurricane Center in
Okay.
KIII. Bill, do you want to read the tweet? Phil Klotzbach?
Okay.
Phil Klotzbach is who handles the seasonal, how many hurricanes we have during season.
Yeah.
Hanna has made landfall on Padre Island, Texas, with maximum sustained winds at 90 miles per hour. It is the first hurricane to make landfall in July in Texas since Dolly in 2008, and the first hurricane to make landfall in any month in Texas since Harvey in 2017.
All right, so the breaking news here, Hanna has now made landfall on the coast of Texas at around Port Mansfield, and you saw it as we were kind of tracking it along there. And so now, at this point, you're going to see conditions get better. It's going to, take a bit of time, but they will get better. The storm will not intensify.
Officially at 5:02.
5:02. Okay, so 2 minutes ago, and there you have it. All right, is Leslie camera up? Do we have her?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go to Leslie Adamy, who's out on Padre Island and has been watching developments there. Leslie?
Hey there, Joe. That's right. Certainly kind of a little unnerving to hear that update, but kind of also not surprising. As I had told you earlier on that phone interview, things have really ramped up here, and probably the last hour and a half, 2 hours. Let's just really quick show you. I don't want us really to go outside, but here I'm just pushing the door window out of the way. We're not outside. Again, the waves continue to come in. As you look further into the Gulf, it just looks, you really can't see. It's just a super heavy mist as those waves continue to strengthen. The rain is coming in our face right now. So another reason that we are not stepping outside at this point in time with the technical difficulties that we had. As I had mentioned earlier, folks had been coming outside to watch this storm roll in, but now that she's here, and with the waves, here, Roy, I'm going to go ahead and close this door because the rain is getting inside and hitting us in the face. Folks have cleared the beach area. You want me to clean that? No one is outside. We had folks driving in and around the area in their trucks wanting to get closer, and really quickly turned around. It was not worth it, and could you blame them? So that's kind of the situation with them. With us right now, the waves continue to intensify, and that rain it's that one that kind of comes at you sideways, Joe.
Okay, thanks very much, Leslie. An update there. The rain's still coming down on Padre Island, but the storm has made landfall and is going to diminish in time here. But the rain's still falling, the wind's still blowing.
I pushed
Many
that
people
and
still
made
without
landfall
power.
So, he's right now.
Ryan's talking to someone over. Ryan's talking to someone over. His microphone's on, but
Okay.
So the official landfall for this thing, Hurricane Hanna, is going to go down in the books as a Category 1. Had to replace the battery on the microphone. Category 1 hurricane at 5:02, July 25th. 2020. The wind sustained at 90 miles per hour, and the location's going to go down as Padre Island, Texas. It's not a city, but rather a very, very long island, barrier island in Texas. So what's to come now that we've seen this storm move ashore? Hanna moving forward now. It's going to begin to weaken as it moves farther inland into South Texas and deep South Texas. That's where the heavier rains are going to be moving, and it's going to get downgraded likely to tropical storm status by midnight, if not before that, as it continues to move in. The wind threat is going to be gone on Sunday. I got overzealous there with the wind on the double eye there, but the wind threat is going to be gone by Sunday, downgraded to a tropical depression, and then tropical downpours will continue scattered around as these little feeder bands continue to drift into the depression of where Hanna is going to be over in Mexico. So because of that, and we have a saturated saturated ground now, flooding is still going to be a concern as Hanna continues to move inland. But now moving forward, it's not going to be instantly that the winds are just gone and over and done with. They're going to be there. It's just going to be a gradual progression to go downgrade from a Category 1 to tropical storm to tropical depression. That is going to take some time to do that. But landfall has happened now, and the flooding rains are now, I think, going to be the focus. It's still very windy.
Right.
The winds are still strong where the center of this thing is, but the rain in South Texas, I think the attention is going to have to go shifting that direction now.
Just to reiterate something we mentioned a couple of hours ago, Gulf storms tend to move inland and keep some of their strength as they move toward Mexico and the Rio Grande. I believe that's what's going to happen on this one. Joe, you had a good point earlier. There will be no more intensification.
Yeah.
We have reached the peak. We have reached the climax. Now we'll start calming down. Alan had a good point. It doesn't automatically, that's it, everything's over. It's going to be a gradual fall off. We'll start seeing the winds die down, the storm surge will be dying down, but the rain is going to keep on coming.
Yep.
We still have a lot of rain out there.
Yeah.
And again, we're getting into tornado areas now over the next 24 to 36 hours. So still a lot of weather remaining from Hurricane Hanna.
And we still are going to discover some areas probably that have been damaged when the water recedes, because, when it's covered, you don't really see what's going on, and so that could happen.
I mean, even with the walkway up to the Lexington, I wonder if the damage there has been significant. Look at that.
We will find out. That shot is just stunning to me on North
There's
Beach.
water everywhere.
Can we zoom down on that shot there? I saw where
water
we could
everywhere.
See the Lexington, the walkway up.
There's the aquarium.
Okay, yeah. Maybe that was a recorded shot.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. There's the walkway. That's got to be live because maybe not.
Okay, that's our live Lex Cam, I think.
Well, that's from Marissa's
That's
camera
Marissa's
at the
camera.
Radisson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's the walkway. So the walkway to the Lex is still there. I'm seeing that.
But I
That's the
wonder
art
if
museum.
That's the Lex Cam right now.
Yeah.
That's Lex Cam looking at the art museum, and look at the waves
Wow, look at
crashing
that.
up against the wall.
crashing
there.
up against the side of the building.
Is that the building or is
It
that a
is.
seawall?
No, that's the building.
That's the building.
There's a seawall right
man.
there in front too. But yeah, they're flooded right there where those entry ports are to the garage. It looks like.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Wow.
Let's get another vantage point from North Beach.
There's
there.
the bottom of the walkway.
Walkway's
there,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, here's Marissa Cummings with an update for us.
Yeah, guys, everything that you're talking about, you're exactly right. It's hard not to gawk at it. But like you guys said, it is slowly going to get better. And it's weird because it has slowly gotten better here. The first thing you can feel, and I don't know, you guys are the experts, Bill, Alan, and Ryan, is the temperature. It's a lot cooler and it's a lot less humid. But let's look at the waves here. There's still big swells, of course. But if you look down at the beach, remember, we couldn't even tell where the sand is. And now you can kind of see the sand. As the waves separate, you can see the sand underneath the water. So that is actually an impressive improvement. But like I told you guys, the next time you come back, what were we going to look at? One of our markers, which was going to be that holiday rental sign. Guess what? That sign's not there anymore. So when we talk about property damage, it's going to be interesting to see what is going to be left behind on the roads. And again, another one of those markers. When we go look at the intersection here between the Radisson Hotel and the tourist shop, you can see the median again. You can actually see the tiny traffic cones that when I was down there, you could still see half the traffic cone. Well, you can start seeing the tip of it now. So it's really impressive how drastic the changes have been. Of course, definitely no conditions that people should come down here because the waves are still big swells, and definitely that's not slowing down yet. Now, the last thing I want to show you guys is all the way down by like the Selena Memorial and just shoreline. You can see those steps that people usually walk down. With the pandemic going on, a lot of people have been walking shoreline to get out and get some fresh air. Well, I definitely do not recommend being down there, and definitely not on those steps. Like I said, the waves are big and they are crashing up those steps as well. But it'll be interesting to see how it all progresses and looking at our markers again, seeing maybe we may be able to see that sidewalk again. I don't know if that'll be achievable today, but I think it's going to be interesting to see how fast it dies down and what effect that has on the property around us right now. You can't see that sidewalk, of course, and like Alan was talking about, looking at the Lexington, the entrance to Lexington, that's still, waves are constantly crashing at it. I don't think that you could make it up there safely, not with the vehicle. So guys, still stay inside. As it is diminishing, that does not mean run and go play and go visit. Definitely stay at home, stay safe, and we'll keep you updated as much as possible as we can. But it is looking a tad bit more promising. Reporting down at North Beach, Marissa Cummings, 3 News.
Incredible shots there of water going onto that beach, pretty much obliterating it. It'll be interesting to see what's left when that water recedes, as it will in the coming days.
Looks like most of North Beach is underwater.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the attractions there obviously going to be inaccessible for a while until the water goes down. But that shot that we had from the LexCam of the art museum, just seeing those waves just crashing against the side of the building, that's just amazing.
I hope my wife's watching. She works there.
Yeah, I'd like to get her on the phone, see what she says about that.
I think
she's not there.
She'd be too bashful, but that's a parking lot that you would use to go to that facility. That if you're familiar with Shoreline as it goes up to the art museum, there's a little place you can go. We're looking at it right now on the LexCam, and the water is moving into that parking lot. I've parked there before. Been to many events over at that art museum. That's right next to the American Bank Center where the ice rays play. That's where we're looking. We're right there next to the American Bank Center on the Corpus Christi Bay side of it. And you can see that the water is definitely up into those parking areas and then butting up against the seawall. There's the art museum now, and there is a seawall.
Waves crashing against that. Look at that.
There is a seawall in front of that, I believe, if we could pan down just a pinch there, but there's for sure, you're right, Joe, there's for sure, it looks like water crashing up against the side of the building. My wife just sent me a text, and she's saying that this is just, our conversation. She's watching right now, and she's saying that she's thinking, or they're thinking that the first floor may be flooded in the art museum there.
And you wonder if that's going to affect any of the artwork, or if they have taken steps to protect it, because the last time I was there, they had some things that were on the floor, statues and whatnot.
Well, even additional moisture in any building like that could cause issues.
That can't be good.
Yeah, so there's for sure water right up against that building. I don't think they know. I don't think they're there right now. The staff's not there, so there's no way to know. But you can see that the water's for sure up against that building, which is a very prone location. It's right there on the bay.
Yeah, but I can't remember in all the time I've been here seeing that much water and the waves lapping up against it that way. I've just never seen that before. So this was an interesting storm. This is just, the unique nature of these hurricanes that we have been talking about, that just, you never know what properties each one is going to have as it comes through. And, just because it's lower in terms of wind strength doesn't mean that it will produce less damage necessarily.
It has a lot to do with the area involved in that storm.
Right.
This was a huge storm.
Yeah.
And you can see what it left behind so far.
And I don't know if we readily have available pictures from Bob Hall Pier, but earlier we were talking, that's going to be one of the big stories coming out of this storm, was the absolute destruction of the end of Bob Hall Pier. The T-head on the end of it gone because of that storm surge and the wave action. Back and forth, it just took it apart. Well, there we go.
Actually, during Harvey, the pier off of the Oso Bay, that one was damaged during Harvey. So just different piers taking the hits there. But yeah, the Bob Hall Pier, we saw the video. This is out at that area. You see, a lot of people will picnic under those little canopies there, and the water is well above that. It's almost flowing perpendicular to the dunes there. This is the video we were talking about, where you can see on the right side of the screen the end of the pier. It's going to get dark because oh wait, no, this is today.
It's already the end of it.
That's the end of it, and then the end of the pier is gone at the end of the video.
Look at that. And you can just see it take it away over the 24-hour time lapse of that video. Just amazing stuff that we have seen. And we're not completely done. We're going to have more rain and wind, and in fact, quite a bit more rain. Question is, and we've been talking about this, Bill, off and on, how much of that rain, we were in need of rain before this storm came. How much of it are we going to be able to retain in our watershed?
Not a lot today.
Yeah.
I really think as this storm moves inland, those rain bands still feeding off the Gulf will feed the hill country, our watershed. Not today, but hopefully tomorrow into Monday. I know the rain chances start tapering off Tuesday and Wednesday, but hopefully tomorrow and Monday we'll see some of those outer rain bands being pulled in that will probably be tropical depression, Hanna, still being pulled in across Houston, down I-10, San Antonio, up into the hill country, including our watershed.
And
so today's not the day for watershed rain.
No.
Hopefully tomorrow and Tuesday will be.
It is getting some, but
Tomorrow and Monday.
the thing about the rain that's falling in the watershed right now is it's two things: lighter and more sparse than where we're looking down to the south where the hurricane is moving in. So you see the watershed. The radar is on the layer on this graphic underneath the watershed, so we can see exactly where we need that rain to fall to filter in to the Nueces River and the Frio River, these rivers that flow into Choke Canyon and Lake Corpus Christi. So the watershed's big. I don't know if many people realize that it goes way up to the Frio floating country up in Uvalde area, part of Texas, So it's a big expansiveness of land that we can hopefully get rain into, but I just don't think it's going to be as numerous in that part of the state as it will be in South Texas.
The good news is I think that the ground will be saturated enough so that it won't soak up all that water. It will be, anything that falls there hopefully will be retained and come on down the rivers.
I think so.
All right. Let's, all right. We're setting up a live shot here in Clayburgh County to go back and let you know what's going on there.
This is an interesting picture. Earlier we were talking about the breakers keeping Corpus Christi Bay calm, separating it, or the marina area separated from Corpus Christi Bay. And look at the water just breaching the rock barrier out there. And so the marina, Corpus Christi Bay, everything, seeing lots of turbulent water today. Look at that. And that's usually a calm area.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that happening in Corpus Christi Bay, certainly to the extent that we've seen it, because in the past, even when we've had fairly large storms out there, the bay didn't respond like it's responding now. It may have come up a bit, but not to this extent.
Well, this is also I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I think this is really the first storm that we dealt with south of here. A lot of the storms we had before that were moving in northward, and like even Oso Creek, everybody's wondering what's going to, and I think Harvey sucked the water out of Oso Creek.
How about Brett? Is that similar to this one?
Well, Brett was like 20 years ago, and I can't really remember. Well, we saw the pictures earlier from Brett in Corpus Christi Bay where the bay was really churning. But Harvey was north of here, and what was it? Was it Celia where the water got sucked out of Corpus Christi Bay?
It was Celia in 1970, that's right.
And so a lot of the storms we've been dealing with, even the ones that go up into Houston, up Victoria, Port Lavaca, Ike, we don't get that. This is one of maybe the first storm, in fact it probably is, the first storm since Brett that has moved in south of here, and so we're getting all that surge coming this way instead of moving back up north. It's probably one of the big reasons why we're seeing so much going on here in Corpus Christi Bay.
We do have a picture. We were talking about Bob Hall Pier and the damage and so forth. You want a before and after look?
Oh, whoa.
Take a look here. Okay. This is July of 2020. And this is her after Hanna. I think. I'm a little confused by that. Okay. Before, showing as we come up on flying over the pier. look at the try to look at the end of it. That's where the damage is.
Yeah, the T on the end is gone.
Yep.
Basically, is what we've been seeing.
On the top, you can see it there. And on this shot, I'm not sure if that looks like the parking lot to me.
I think that's where Matt was,
Yeah.
our assistant news director. He was out there getting the footage. He actually had to back away because he didn't like how it felt in terms of safety right there. So gives you an idea of what it was like. But tropical storm force winds, they can make you antsy.
That's right.
And then you add storm surge and,
And according to, what are the winds like right now on the island? Are they still blowing strong?
They're tropical storm force gusts out there for sure. Still gusting up 45 or so miles per hour. These are gusts, so there's going to be higher gusts likely in the areas just north of Baffin Bay. Think about the King Ranch area and the Chapman Ranch area. Those areas are getting likely 50 to 60 mile per hour gusts, and then north of that, 40 to 50 miles per hour. The sustained winds aren't terribly impressive. This just, to me, looks like a bad day of golf on a normal day, hitting into a 35 mile an hour wind, but we're under tropical storm conditions for sure in the area. But I say that comment about golf to say that this amount of wind, 35 miles per hour, isn't something that we don't see around here fairly often when the winds crank up from the southeast.
And there are those who actually golf in conditions like that with winds at.
Hope the wind's behind you.
Yeah,
Every hole I play is downwind, so it works out.
All right, now we are ready, I think, to go to Ashley Gonzalez in Clayburgh County with an update on what is happening there. Ashley?
Hey Joe, right, Ashley Gonzalez here in Kingsville. I'm here actually at HM King High School where the safe room is. And it's crazy because right when Hanna hit landfall, we definitely felt it. And Alan, as you were saying earlier, some of those wind gusts are pretty strong, as a matter of fact. I mean, I'm not that big of a person, but some of these wind gusts kind of got me off balance for a moment there. And Kingsville is already a quiet town, but check out the roads. They're nearly empty, so it's an even quieter town. And obviously, all the stores are closed, so all the parking lot is completely filled. But yeah, the rain is coming down, and like I said earlier, it's kind of sporadic, so it'll come down pretty hard at times, and then it'll kind of relax for a moment, but then it'll come back just as hard with those wind gusts. As a matter of fact, we're getting a small one right now, and something that Marissa said earlier that I definitely connected with was with how cool it is. It definitely went from like very humid to very chilly, and I'm pretty cold right now. It's probably because I'm soaked as well. But right, so the safe room is right in the sports complex, which is on the other side of this building. And again, it's a temporary shelter for people who are in low areas, who just need some dry land and somewhere to just ride out the storm with as Alan was saying, the peak is kind of right now, and well, the storm is going to be riding out from here on out from what y'all said. But like I said, the roads are pretty quiet. The wind is still coming through, and the rain is still coming through. And earlier, as a matter of fact, about an hour to an hour and a half ago, we saw emergency crews with some boats, some rescue boats, in case that they are needed. We saw 2 of them on a trailer. So again, and also the power is not well as well. But if your power is out, do not call 911, call the city or the county. I'm going to go ahead and toss it back to you because I'm starting to lose connection here. Back to you, Joe.
All right, it is tough, and it does present challenges to be out there in the wind and the rain and so forth, and we appreciate that. But you get a sense of what is going on down in Clayburgh County, even after landfall here of Hurricane Hanna, moving ashore now. And Bill, we've seen a lot today. We've seen it all kind of develop and
well, we've been here since 10. It's a little after almost 5:30 now, so over 7.5 hours. It's been an interesting story. And I was even telling Joe off camera an hour or so ago that even the mood here in the newsroom has changed following the track of the hurricane. When we didn't know where it was going, would it come directly west? Would it really affect us? We're all, but now when it started moving, when things change is when we saw that little jog to the south.
When we saw it real time on radar.
When we saw that little jog to the south, and we said, here we go.
That was about 3 hours prior to landfall.
Right,
so,
and up in that case, especially for us here in Corpus Christi,
Yeah.
And, the poor people down in the valley going through awful things right now. It'd be interesting, people in Baffin Bay, got really hit hard. But it's, for the past 7.5 hours, it's just been interesting how the story has played out. So many, look at all the variables, the different pictures we've seen, the ups and downs we've seen. It's truly an incredible story.
Storm surge is still a big story, though, right
Is
now
that,
for us.
That's
The Lexington.
plane in
That's
front
the
of the Lex.
front of the Lex, the walkway
Oh,
up
okay.
into the Lexington. Storm surge is still going to be a problem for another few hours because the storm's position in respect to where we are in Corpus Christi. So we're seeing real time right there, real pictures, live pictures. That's our exclusive Lex cam. And the storm surge, the wind is not really going to change direction. I'm going to couple two images for you here on the weather graphics to illustrate the point. If we can switch over to the weather graphics, you see the winds out of the east in Port Aransas. The winds are still driving in water and at tropical storm force. These are the wind gusts, so these are a little bit higher than the wind speeds, but the wind is going to drive water in. As long as they're out of the east and they're strong like this, the water's going to not recede in the area. So when we look at the storm where it currently is, it's going to take a while for those winds to eventually back out of the south and west. So what I mean by that is this storm is going to continue to drive in winds just like this, and we're going to gradually see the winds at the surface that are out of the east and northeast right now. See how they're out of the east and northeast going down toward the center of the hurricane? These winds are gradually going to end up turning east, and then east-southeast, and then southeast, and then south, and then southwest as the storm continues to move farther inland. And that's what we were talking about and showing with this wind motion graphic around the storm. So yesterday they were out of the north. Right now at landfall, you see how the winds will be out of the east here, and then they're going to gradually turn. You see right over Corpus Christi, they'll turn east, and then they'll turn south, and then they'll turn southwest on Sunday. And that's going to be the progression of how we lose the storm surge. So that's going to take a little while time for those
Before
winds
that water goes down.
The winds
Yeah.
are going to have to shift to out of the south for the storm surge levels to really start receding. Yeah. So,
Interesting. So we're looking at a couple of days.
I think tonight and into early tomorrow. And then by tomorrow afternoon, the storm surge will be receding. But I don't think it's going to be relaxing anytime soon. For the next few hours, we're still going to have these driving east winds coming in here.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's go over to Ryan Choctaw now with an update on Hanna for us.
Yeah, Joe, Hurricane Hanna made landfall earlier today at about 5 o'clock, just 30 minutes ago or so. And the exact location, Padre Island, Texas, north of Port Mansfield. Max winds were up to 90 miles per hour, higher wind gusts up to 115. And it was, the focal point was along Kennedy County, just south of Corpus Christi. And you'll notice on this loop where exactly it made landfall, south of Corpus Christi, south of Baffin Bay as a Cat 1, a strong Cat 1 hurricane. Right now, still wind sustained at 90 miles per hour. Wind gusts up to 115. Pressure is down to a 973 millibars, and it's currently moving west-southwest at about 8 miles per hour. Now, again, as it moves west, it'll continually and gradually weaken through tonight, through tomorrow. However, the storm surge, just as Alan said, the storm surge threat continues based on the wind field of Hanna, and that's because we have that northeast-east wind just driving in water from the Gulf of Mexico. Not to mention the forward motion of Hanna is going to aid in more strength, more wind speed through tonight and early tomorrow morning. Now, you'll notice the current look on radar, the eye right over central Kennedy County. The outer bands extending as far north, or at least the heavier downpours, and the southern tip of Nueces County. But you'll notice this is a pretty impressive eye, clearing out. If you're under this eye, you'll see mostly clear skies, if not some sunshine and quiet conditions, the calm within the storm. Now, as this starts to rotate and counterclockwise, in the counterclockwise direction, it's going to continue just, throw a ton of moisture our way through tonight and tomorrow morning. That's why the storm surge threat is there, not to mention the flash flood threat is there, because rain is not done with. And, through tomorrow, as we wrap up the weekend, rainfall could add up to amounts upwards of 2 to 3 to 4 inches of rainfall here in the city. Heavier amounts of rain south of that into let's say Clayburgh County, and also ultimately into the Rio Grande Valley. A closer look at what's happening currently. Just some scattered downpours at Refugio, Sinton off of Highway 77. And these are just those tropical downpours associated with Hurricane Hanna. Now, from where it goes from here, I mean, it's going west and it's going to dive into Mexico. And by tomorrow afternoon, tropical storm, remnant low, if not a tropical depression. And this will continue to weaken gradually as it moves into the mountains of Mexico. It's pouring cats and dogs outside our KIII studios. Today's forecast, or at least tonight, cool. East winds at about 30 to 40 miles per hour sustained. Higher wind gusts up to that. And of course, the main threat is storm surge. Guys.
Thanks, Ryan. We were talking about things not to do, and one of them is, to go out and get in the way of first responders and just be out and away from your home just out of curiosity. And yet some people will do that nonetheless. And we have some video out by Bob Hall Pier of some guys who are, well, let's watch and see. I haven't seen this. But they are guy going out in the water like any other day.
Nice flotation device.
He says he's going to go float in that inner tube. Hurricane? What hurricane? Doesn't matter. Anyway, that's something you don't do.
Every image that I'm seeing in video, it's surprising me how much the storm surge has come in. In my head, I'm thinking 4 to 6 feet isn't that much of a deal, but a picture is telling me a lot different with respect to how much inundation we're seeing in those extreme coastal environments. It's not to where I don't think we're seeing neighborhoods flood. I haven't seen reports of that. I haven't seen anything like that. But it's these coastal locations that we tend to not really build on here in South Texas. We don't have a line of houses right on the beach where there's no dune protecting the beach, to my knowledge. And I haven't seen any pictures or reports of water coming into places like Port Aransas or parts of the island. I know where there's some hotels and condos right on, is it Whitecap?
Right.
There's some right there, right on Whitecap.
Yeah, but there's a big barrier between the water and the...
I'd be curious, though, to see if water is getting into those locations, given what we're seeing at the immediate beach.
We know, for example, water is over parts of 361.
Yes.
And right now on the phone, we have Ricky Daly with...
The National Weather Service in Corpus Christi has issued a special marine warning for coastal waters from Baffin Bay to Port Aransas out 20 nautical miles, waters from Baffin Bay to Port Aransas from 20 to 60 nautical miles, until 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time. At 5:33 p.m. Central Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing waterspouts was located 36 nautical miles east of Malaquai Beach, Oregon, 42 nautical miles southeast of Port Aransas, moving northwest at 55 knots. Hazard, waterspouts. Source, radar. Impact, waterspouts can quickly form and capsize boats, damage vessels and oil rigs, and create suddenly higher waves. Make sure all on board are in a secure location and wearing life jackets. The severe thunderstorm will remain over mainly open waters. Thunderstorms can produce sudden waterspouts. Waterspouts can easily overturn boats and create locally hazardous seas. Seek safe harbor immediately.
And State Highway 361, though, is open, so people who might want to leave Port Aransas can use the island road.
Okay, so the only way to get from, say, Port Aransas to Aransas Pass now is to drive all the way around using Highway 361, which is
That's correct.
a couple-hour drive, as some of us have experienced.
Yeah.
But
that's what we're hoping. That's what we're hoping you can help us get the word out, so no one makes that unnecessary trip.
We are happy to do that, and you don't want to be out anyway. But if you have to be out, keep in mind that the ferry service is suspended because of the weather conditions right now. We don't know when that's going to change. Any idea when that might happen? Are we looking at a day or two, or do we know?
No, that's a Coast Guard question, and they will, like I say, after they do their storm assessment, they'll let us know when it's all clear. A good resource for your viewers on road conditions, including the ferry service, is drivetexas.org.
Right.
That has the latest information